The one thing we know about German cuisine is that it is really heavy on the sauerkraut. They eat loads of the stuff all the time, and that's why in the Second World War, British soldiers referred to the Germans as krauts. Well, my patron Timothy wanted to know how much truth there is in this stereotype, and it won't surprise anyone to hear that it is a bit of a stereotype. The art of pickling cabbage isn't exclusively a German thing. The ancient Greeks did it, the ancient Romans did it, and the Chinese were doing it 4,000 years ago. And if you're looking for the world record pickled cabbage eater, it's probably a Korean. They have a dish called kimchi, which is made with slightly different ingredients to a slightly different method, but it is basically very similar. And if my experience is anything to go by, they really do consider kimchi to be an important part of any meal. Unfortunately for me, I never really liked the taste, so it was quite difficult for me to impress Koreans. German sauerkraut is made by shredding and pounding cabbage, layering it with salt and other spices, and leaving it to ferment for a few weeks while ensuring that it doesn't dry out. Because if it does dry out, even slightly, it will go mouldy. The result is a sour-tasting product that is rich in vitamin C and will, if carefully kept, last for months or even years. And it was this property that made it so important. In past centuries, it was the only reliable method of preserving the vegetable. There were no refrigerators or tin cans. And so, during the long, dark, cold European winters, sauerkraut was a bit of a lifesaver. In terms of healthy eating, it was the next best thing to fresh vegetables. It wasn't just eaten in Germany. Many cultures in Central and Eastern Europe ate it and still do. People just couldn't help noticing that those who ate sauerkraut in the winter were much less likely to become ill. By the 18th century, people realised that eating sauerkraut reduced the risk of scurvy, and so it was included as part of the standard provisions on board ship for any long-distance sea voyage. On land, it remained a winter vegetable, something to have when you couldn't get your hands on fresh vegetables. And to those who find tradition very important, it still is. I can't find any really good statistics on sauerkraut consumption. The one I did find is that Germans spend about 80 million euros a year on sauerkraut. That works out at less than €1 per person per year, so not a huge amount after all. Germans certainly don't eat sauerkraut with everything. If you find yourself, as my wife once did, in a German restaurant in Canada looking at a menu promising schnitzels with sauerkraut, just know that no German would ever think of ordering such a thing, except perhaps out of morbid curiosity. Sauerkraut consumption varies from region to region, so it's really difficult to give you a rundown of all the things that you can eat it with. My favourite way of eating it is with a cured cutlet of pork and mashed potatoes, a meal that's especially popular in the Frankfurt region. Of course, as I said earlier, sauerkraut was important in the days when you couldn't get fresh vegetables in winter. These days, that's not a problem. We can get fresh vegetables anytime we want. So sauerkraut isn't eaten as much as it used to be, but on the other hand, it can now be eaten at any time of the year. It is still a German thing, Germans still eat it, they just don't constantly stuff themselves with it. In short, while there is something to the stereotype, if you are a huge fan of pickled cabbage and want to live somewhere where they really can't get enough of the stuff, you might have better luck in Korea. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to send me a postcard, here's the address. And don't forget to visit my website and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, if you'd like access to special bonus content and help with the costs of running this channel, please consider making a small monthly donation on Patreon.